Okay, Mayor.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the open meeting for March 22nd for the city of Ferguson. At this time, I will call, Clerk Pittman will call the roll.
Councilwoman Noah,
Here.
Councilwoman Griffin,
Here.
Councilwoman Burrow, absent. Councilwoman Robinette,
Here.
Councilwoman Lipka,
Here.
Councilwoman Nelson,
Here.
and Mayor Jones.
Here. A quorum is present. The next item on the agenda, City Manager Eric Osterberg, would you please take the floor?
Yeah, absolutely. First off, Octavia, I think there's one more person in the waiting room from OpenGov. His name should be Jared.
Hey,
They may have
there
been
he is.
admitted already because I don't have anyone waiting now.
He just joined. Anyways, good evening, City Council. Today before you is a vendor who's going to be giving a presentation about some software that's going to help us streamline our code licensing and permitting process here at the city. If you'll recall, a couple months back, we brought before you another client who was called GoGov. Staff went out and did some additional research, kind of looked out into the market, secured some kind of a sense of how much these things would cost. And before you is our recommendation moving forward with OpenGov. This was one of Bailey's final projects with us at the city of Ferguson, trying to just make sure that we, again, just secure some additional efficiencies as pertains to running these processes in our organization. So I will now give the floor to OpenGov.
Thanks, Eric. To everyone who have not met me before, my name is Eric Wingbermuel. I'm an account executive here at OpenGov. I'm actually based in the Kansas City, Missouri area, but was born and raised here in St. Louis. I don't know if you caught earlier that my father actually was, he attended high school in the Jennings area, but was actually born and raised in Ferguson before moving to Jennings. So very honored to be, yeah. So very honored to be here with each of you this evening. And through our conversations with Mr. Osterberg and Mr. Mitchell, we've been able to identify a couple of themes, pains, and priorities that we hope that we're able to speak to this evening, and looking forward to hopefully establishing a strategic partnership with the city and delivering an easy-to-use solution for the city, the citizens, and businesses looking to do commerce within city limits alike within a singular platform provided by OpenGov. So. Accompanied by me, we've got a couple of my colleagues, Andrew Jones, the regional manager of the Central Region, and Gerard Franklin, one of our solutions engineers here at OpenGov, based out of Fishers, Indiana. So Andrew and Gerard, I don't know if you wanted to give just a quick introduction before we dive into the subject matter at hand.
Absolutely. Thanks, Eric. And it's nice to be on the call. I appreciate everyone's time here this evening. As Eric mentioned, my name is Andrew Jones. I'm a regional manager here at OpenGov, based in the Twin Cities, but do work with all of our existing and prospective clients in the state of Missouri. So happy to be on the call and support any way I can, and share how other cities in Missouri and really throughout the central United States are utilizing this platform. Gerard?
Yeah, thank you, AJ. My name is Gerard Franklin. I'm a solutions engineer, as Eric mentioned, supporting all of the central region as well. Really on the technical side of the house, here to answer any technical questions as we go through the demonstration and conversation today. I'm proud to actually say that I was a customer of OpenGov before joining the company. I was a business analyst and a community engagement assistant director here in the city of Fishers, where I had the opportunity to actually deploy the software that we're going to be exploring today. Again, we utilize the system in a number of different ways, so I'm hoping to share some of that experience with you all and my knowledge of the system. So nice to meet you all as well.
Perfect. So just to provide a high-level agenda for what we hope to accomplish on our end and present before you today, would really like to just give you a high-level overview of who OpenGov is, and how we're working with communities throughout the United States, and even specific to the St. Louis and Missouri Midwest area, and then dive into the conceptual workflow and how this solution might look for the city of Ferguson, for the staff members and citizens alike, and then actually show you briefly the solution itself until opening up for questions and feedback. Does that work for everyone?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, with that said, I will go ahead and share my screen. I promise you all I will not bore you with slides. I'm disabled to share my screen. If I'm not able to, if someone's able to pull up the packet that was sent with the agenda for today's meeting, I'm happy to just present through that as well.
Octavia, are you able to
You
give
should.
host access? Oh, sorry.
You should be able to share now.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you, Octavia. Okay, and can everyone see my screen? Perfect. So just at a very high level, OpenGov was founded back in 2012 to power more effective and accountable government. And the way that we do that is by providing suites of technology to our nation's cities, counties, and state agencies to really drive more efficiency. So when you think about what OpenGov is providing to local governments, it's all going to be purpose-built solutions for government only. It's all going to be cloud-based, and it's all going to be focused on the ease of use so that people of government can make data-driven decisions and then communicate those decisions out to the public, which will in turn increase productivity, improve the citizen experience, and build a sense of greater resiliency throughout the community. When you look at the solutions that OpenGov provides to local governments across the United States, we really focus on each of the mission critical processes that people of local government focus on every single day. Those are inclusive of a robust, fully encompassing budgeting solution, an online procurement solution from contract management and development, so on and so forth, as well as providing a core financials or enterprise resource planning solution. But of course, here today, we're here to talk about our permitting, licensing, code enforcement, public portal solution, all powered by what we call our reporting and transparency platform. I want to be very mindful by calling this reporting and transparency. All of the information that lives and breathes within your permitting, licensing, code enforcement procedures today will communicate within the internal reporting mechanism that we call a reporting and transparency platform that will enable you to report on the data, on the performance metrics, and even financial metrics that communicate with your accounting system into a singular platform where people of all departments across the community working for the city are able to pull data, report on that data, and should you choose, share that information with the public through enhanced communication in ways that otherwise were not possible today. The way that we've been able to tailor our product to meet the needs on a continuous basis of local government is by partnering with over a combined 300 years of government experience, such as Gerard here with us today. The feedback that we've gotten from our previous customers or partners of local government, now OpenGov family, have really tailored our solutions in such a way that continuously meet your needs. Governments are always rapidly changing, we understand that, and we're here to accompany those changes and evolve with you. Because OpenGov is cloud-based, we're an off-the-shelf, out-of-the-box solution. So as you give us feedback, we add that to what we call our product roadmap, and we make those enhancements available to not only you, but to all of our partners throughout our entire network. So as mentioned before, as we grow, as we evolve, so do you. And the way that we evolve is through the feedback that you give us on areas for improvement or things that would be nice to have. Just to showcase a few of the partnerships that we're working with today and that I work with specifically, Florissant, which is really not too far at all from the city of Ferguson. They've partnered with us to really encompass everything that I just showed in the previous slide, including your enterprise resource planning, budgeting, reporting, so on and so forth. But I also work with various communities throughout the state of Kentucky, Kansas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. Does all that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So through our conversations, we were able to identify several themes, pains, and priorities that you hope to accomplish in a solution that speaks to maybe the permitting, licensing, and really specifically code enforcement processes today. And really, one of the big themes that we identified was making sure that all rental, residential, commercial properties abide by city code, and making sure that you have an efficient means to enforce that code and ensure that that code is enforced with proper coverage across not just one ward, not just two wards, but all three wards. We also want to lower the barrier of entry for citizens, businesses, and internal staff members alike to do business with one another through a singular online citizen portal that enables people to manage the workflow processes for permitting, licensing, code enforcement, so on and so forth. And lastly, to add a sense of communication with the solution from staff members and for additional external stakeholders such as the citizens, such as businesses trying to do commerce within Ferguson, all within a communicative workflow that gives real-time updates to all those involved, so that at any particular time, they're able to understand where they stand in an application or permitting process or a licensing process, or if their code complaint has been responded to, so on and so forth. So how do we speak to some of those processes? We understand that currently the city is leveraging paper and PDF, and that can be very time consuming and problematic for a variety of reasons. We also understand that retaining proper code enforcement officers has been difficult, and we want to provide a means to speak to some of those issues and enable you to efficiently provide the coverage needed to touch on and respond to any code violations across all 3 wards. In addition, we want to make it easy for the citizens and businesses alike to apply for and obtain licenses and permits within the city. We also want to make that easy on the staff as well. We want to make sure that their lives aren't consumed by walk-ins, by phone calls, by questions on where citizens and businesses stand within a particular workflow. Our solution speaks to that pain point and problem, and in such a way that enables the citizens to access all this information from one singular portal.
Hey, Eric, can we skip to the demonstration? We're just running up on time.
Yeah, absolutely, Eric. And Gerard, if you just want to dive right into that, and apologies on time. I just wanted to make sure that we covered everything as well. So, Gerard, did you want to go ahead and dive into the solution itself?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go ahead and share my screen if I am able to.
Can everybody please mute?
Hey, let me try that. I'm gonna ask her to do it, but then I'm also gonna see.
Can you?
Mildred,
we-
would you mute?
Maybe I can still be able to try that.
Mildred,
All right. Okay. All right, thanks, Alan. All right. Thanks, Alan. All right, bye. Thank you.
Mildred, would you please mute?
I'm trying to get her. I'm trying to get her as well. So hold on. I just can't.
Hey, friend.
You mute, no, you can't do that. Let her mute. Okay, she's gone.
All right. Well, again, I hope you guys can see my screen okay. Thumbs up. Yes, Eric. All right. Well, again, just going from your website, we could have a direct connection through your website, just kind of repurposing and really utilizing some of the areas of your website to kind of link out directly to what we call our public self-service portal. This is an example of that portal, which will allow for public constituents to really interact and engage with any digital records that you all may have on your website. So essentially, this would be a landing page storefront, if you will, that allows anyone to actually do business with the city at any time. The web app is also browser agnostic and a device agnostic, which allows anyone to actually do that work on any device, on any browser at any time again. So this is, again, the storefront. Today, I thought we would actually just walk through a quick code enforcement or code compliance use case, and then quickly just show how someone could simply pay for a building permit and really track the progress of all of the applications and records that they're applying for at a glance, and just kind of see all of those updates happen in a real time. So walking through maybe a code compliance case, if I am logged into an account, maybe Jane Doe is walking through a neighborhood or a certain area in the city and wants to put in that complaint, I'll simply just click report an issue. And you'll see that you'll have the ability to kind of stage some text and narrative here to allow for the public members to really be educated as they're going through this process as well. So first thing I'm going to be asked is to actually provide all of my contact information. We can disable the contact information to be associated with the cases that we are capturing if we want to do that. But in this case, we're actually going to capture the contact information and actually associate it to a piece of land. We're going to do this by just dropping a point on the map. So we're going to do that just by panning across a map. If I'm using, again, maybe my tablet or cell phone walking around the neighborhood, I can simply do that here, confirm the location, and then just go ahead and actually enter in that complaint. So I can select from a list of different violation types. So maybe I want to do trash and debris. Maybe that's in the front yard. Maybe it's on the south side of the lot. I can go ahead and put those different descriptions here in the text here. And as we explained in some of our previous conversations, all of these forms can actually be reconfigured and customized to fit the city's specifications. So I'll go ahead and hit next. And the next window is actually going to allow me to upload any additional attachments or supporting documentation that I may have against a case, or maybe even a building permit or any other applications or projects that I'm working on. So what I'm walking through is the public portal, and they're going through a complaint form here. The public portal, again, could be leveraged and utilized for building permits, any type of requests, any other type of submissions that are currently on your website as a form or a PDF, and it can essentially be designed in this system. The public portal is front facing, but we also have a back end of the system, which is utilized by employees and city officials to allow you to review, analyze, and process all of that information that's coming in from the actual public portal. So what you see here is the actual request management or the application management page, which will allow that original petitioner to actually review the progress or the status of that application, or in this case, the complaint of that given record. So here I note that I have a complaint that's going to be in review. The next step will be a site inspection, and then I will go into a case closed. At any time, the public user can come into the system and view all of the statuses and the workflow steps as they're updated. Also, they will be able to actually communicate with the staff members, make any payments on the system as well, and receive any documentation that the city is issuing. So given a certificate, license, letter of violation, a building permit, or C of O, all of that type of information can be issued to the applicant directly in the system. It is also good to note that all of the correspondence that is happening in the system will also be a copy sent to the individual via email as well. So as an individual, this is the page where I'll continue that tracking. If I shift gears and go into the back end of the system, now your employees will be able to really track and manage all of those cases, applications, complaints through the back end of the system, and they will be automatically routed and assigned to the appropriate people that these cases and permits need to go to. So I will only receive a workflow step assignment if it's applicable to my work and my daily workload. I'll be able to quickly see those at a glance and be able to sign off on all of these cases as I go through the workflow. The great thing about this is that all staff will be able to now have that cross-departmental collaboration through the system, and everybody can have eyes on the same set of information and the most recent version of that information as well. Another great thing in the system that allows for the public to interact and engage with the city is that as they're going through this process, they can actually make payments in the system as well. So here I'm actually a user logged into my dashboard. I can go into my fees or my actions and actually pay for my deck permit that I applied for maybe a few days ago. I can quickly note that all the departments and respective individuals have signed off on their given workflow step. All of these will be indicated here with this check mark, and now I can quickly make a payment against this deck permit. I can do that via a credit card or e-check, or we can allow that individual to actually come to the office and make a payment or a transaction in person via the counter via check or cash. I'm going to process this payment today with just a credit card. And go ahead and no screenshots. It's a fake credit card, but you can try if you want. But I'm processing this payment, and you can see that is going to happen in real time, and the transaction is happening in front of our faces here. And I'll be able to actually go into my receipt, review that at any time, and actually print this out for my records if needed. The last thing that I would just like to touch on is that all of the information that we're collecting from the public portal will be reportable, and we'll be able to analyze all of that data within the system. But it will also be packaged with what we call reporting and transparency. And this is just a quick view of some of the data visuals that we could kind of design and create utilizing some of that citizen services data that we're collecting, but also utilizing this this dashboard to actually pull data from other sources that the city may be using. So your public safety, your financial system, maybe public works is using a system. We can aggregate all of that data and have all of that roll up to one single pane of glass and kind of present that data internally, but also have it be more open to the public and have that more transparency turned on to the community if we decide to turn on some of these data points. So these are some of the reports, and I'm going to stop there and just see if anyone has any questions before I turn it back over to Eric.
Councilwoman Robinette.
Yes, just a couple quick questions. So who actually owns the data that's stored? And I guess the reason I'm asking is, say we use the system for 5 years and then end up going with a different vendor or different entity. What happens to that data? Does the city of Ferguson own that, or how do you work that?
Yeah, I can definitely answer that. AJ or Andrew, do you want to take it?
Yep, I'll take that. The city owns their data and has access to download it with a simple click of a button at any point. So you always own your own data. We do not own your data.
Okay, and then my second question should be pretty quick. Is there a need to integrate with our current financial software at all? I think that's Enterprise.
I think that would be a great idea, Councilwoman Robinette. And typically that's something that we cover during the implementation where AJ, I don't know if you wanted to elaborate there.
Yeah, so and what's included, and it's pretty much table stakes for all of our customers utilizing citizen services. What we do is we have an interface with your accounting system. So all of the transactions that take place within OpenGov Citizen Services, you get an automated nightly report that is in a format that matches your accounting system for your finance team to review and then import into your accounting system once they review and reconcile all of the transactions that occur in citizen services.
Right.
I think that's where you were headed with that.
Yes, thank
Does that
you.
make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
Councilwoman Lipka.
So you may have, to a certain extent answered this. So a code complaint comes in, it's on the system. Once it's submitted, you did show where it goes to the different employees. But what is the expectation of response time? I know that would be determined by you, Eric, but if Eric, when this is running full steam ahead and that kind of thing,
Yeah,
and
so
everybody's
one of the things that
comfortable.
one of the things that is really attractive to me as far as this system related to the other ones is its ability to, within the system, set parameters around when people internally are failing to follow up on an issue. They'll be notified by email, and after so many days, if they don't respond, then it can be escalated upwards. So, in the future, it might be gets escalated to Gene, gets escalated to me, kind of in that order. So we're at least kind of always on top of code issues as they're coming up.
Is there any way to inform a citizen? So let's say a citizen comes in and they see something and they make a complaint and they think it should happen within 24 hours, but it's something that would typically take maybe 72 hours of our staff. Is there any way that this system could shoot back a message? Hey, typically we take such and such amount of time. I don't know. That's one thought that might be beneficial, just so that there's that constant level of communication where people don't have unattainable expectations.
Absolutely, and I'm happy to field that one. So as you see in the screen that Gerard has posted above, underneath the due date portion, you have the ability to comment within this particular record type. Any communication that you're posting into the comment portion will go directly to the applicant or the citizen submitting the complaint that is associated with this particular code enforcement violation.
Okay.
You have the ability to do some internal note taking as well, but just to let them know, hey, we've received your complaint, we're working on it. Please expect up to 72 hours. We've got a code enforcement officer assigned to the task and should be addressing it shortly.
And then the other thing
Perfect.
to answer your question, Councilman Lipka, is that, with some of our code abatement procedures, there's oftentimes that there's timelines associated with a code issue that we have to observe in between taking action. And what the system allows us to do too is it makes it easier for code to just, drop, like he's saying, drop a comment or have a kind of fabricated response that kind of explains to the citizen, the steps that we'll be taking moving forward. So they have like an understanding of how fast that issue might be resolved.
That would be great, because that's, as long as we're communicating, people are pretty patient. The last question I have is, and this might be for you, Gerard, you were talking about when people can make a payment online. So once a payment's made online, what then happens on the back end? What goes on in terms of updating that person's account or whatever? How does that work? Or is that what you were talking about when you said the accounting gets a report every day?
Yeah, so that does kind of touch on what Andrew was discussing earlier, but also it's really up to the city what next workflow steps should actually trigger or to occur after the payment is made. So if we need to route that to an additional staff member, we can do that as well. And just making sure that we're following the sequence that the city has in place today. So if we need to have some additional fees collected towards the end of the process, we can do that as well. But it's really designed and configured by city staff input to make sure we're following the right sequence.
My final question, thank you, sir. My final question is, how long does this typically take to implement into a city process? And then what's the usual timeframe of a learning curve for the staff?
Yeah, so I'm going to speak from personal experience, and I'll let Andrew actually speak from all the customers he's worked with. But me personally, when I actually had the opportunity to deploy this, we went live with 3 departments in a matter of 4 months. So we had maybe 10 to 15 different application types or permits for each of those departments. And with the help of OpenGov, I actually had the opportunity to build most of those applications myself. And they were there to support me with a more complex workload. So to answer your question in short, it was about 4 months to stand up 3 departments, but that was a lot of the work by me and my staff at the time. So.
Okay.
And I'll just double down on that. The answer is it can really vary depending on size of community. What's nice about your deployment and implementation is we don't need to bring any historical data from an existing system. It's actually really nice moving from paper-based processes. So in those cases, we've been able to actually stand up forms. So a code enforcement complaint form, for example, in the matter of weeks. That wouldn't be beginning to end, but the nice thing about how we deploy the system is we can deploy in parts. So we can launch, a code enforcement form first, and then move on to building, and then move on to licensing, or switch up the order based on the city's priorities. Last comment on that is we have included all of our training packages. So the idea is when our professional services team ends the project, your team signs off on it. They're fully trained. And if they forget anything, there's a designated customer success manager assigned to the account that is with you for the life of the subscription. And that is kind of the day-to-day contact once our professional services team walks away, is that customer success manager.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Councilwoman Robinette and then Councilwoman Nelson.
Thank you, Mayor. So is there, if somebody's reporting something, is there some level of deduplication or that it escalates an issue? Like if you're reporting something, can somebody see that it's already been reported and or voted up or something like that to see that it's being taken care of?
Yeah, so we actually give the city the ability to actually publish the records that have been submitted by other users, and that can be displayed in an open format. So that can be by a search or a lookup on an address, or if they have the record number itself, they can actually look up the record. But if they have the address of that problem area, they can actually search against that property, and it will pull all of the records associated to that property if the city deems that that is appropriate.
Okay.
So so that should handle some of the duplications of that request or complaints that are coming in, if the user is taking time to actually search against the property.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
Councilwoman Nelson?
And Andrew and Gerard, you may have already answered. I didn't hear that, but
No
regarding
problem.
the trainings, you did say that they would, staff would have manuals. Is there also tutorials that they would be able to assist them with this program as well? And then I noticed that you said they would have the staff for the duration. How much of duration did you say of that for the training to continue to be like a help desk sort of to them?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm happy to field that one, Gerard, if you don't mind. I actually came from the customer success organization here at OpenGov, and Councilwoman Nelson, yes, to answer your first question, we enable a feature that's inclusive of the partnership called OpenGov University. So that's really one of a two-prong approach that allows for a self-guided retutorial should someone new from the city come in and start working on some of these processes from an administrative standpoint. They're able to go through essentially the training that each one of the people in the initial portions of the project went through at a very high level. But we also enable a dedicated customer support representative that's really available at your fingertips throughout the entire duration of our partnership and beyond. So really part of the reason is to ensure your continued success. And we want to take a primary and very intentional approach toward customer support, so that you're always getting the resources and touch points that you need to be successful on a continual basis.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, city manager?
Yeah, sorry, I was responding to a text. So that's all. Unless council doesn't have any more questions, that concludes the presentation. Kind of something I'll give like a final closing comment about. A couple things. One, the price. OpenGov's proposing annually $40,000 locked in for 5 years. And then the other thing too, I wanted to bring to council's attention was that, depending on how our experience with the first module goes with code enforcement, licensing and permitting, OpenGov also, as they mentioned in their presentation tonight, has a number of other ERP modules. Particularly what I think we might be interested in looking in if we're impressed with the performance of the first module would be their finance and budgeting. Especially as we're looking forward to potentially trying to implement strategic planning and being accountable to the public and communicative with the public as it pertains to just making sure that the money we're spending in our city actually matches up with the key performance indicators that council would decide on, that measures and actualizes the success that we're pursuing in a given policy area. So I look forward to more information about that in the future. And that concludes my comments.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'm asking for a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, Linda Lipka.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, we are adjourned. We are going to move to our regular city council link. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you to OpenGov.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks
No
for your
problem.
time, everyone.
Thank you.